would not be here this morning. So thank you very much. Whenever leadership changes, we can get nervous, but V stepped right up to the plate. We have nothing to worry about with leadership with Equality Virginia. So thank you, V. We look forward to working with you. And of course, there are so many legislators here this morning who have been a part of this, and just regular people like the rest of us who've been out there working. Like everyone here, I've always had a tremendous amount of respect for Equality Virginia, but in the last couple of years, I had a renewed sense of what it is that they do. It's always nice to go into the Capitol and talk to legislators who are and working with us, but when you go down there and you talk to legislators who do not like us, it's all about relationship building, I think, and James and his team and V and their teams have gone around the Commonwealth for years. We're at the Capitol 1 or 2 times a year. They're there literally in one level or another just about every day of the year. So thank you, Equality Virginia. We're very blessed to have you. We're very blessed to have our governor. Several years ago when we did have an Equality Virginia dinner and he spoke. And when he got through talking, everybody gave him a huge standing ovation. And I remember thinking when I was standing, I'm not applauding him because he's the governor. I'm applauding him because of what he just said. From day one, we have known there has never been a doubt that our governor, our attorney general, Mr. Herring, have been with us all through this, and again, been instrumental in making today possible. Thank you. Welcome to Diversity Richmond. Please eat a donut and let's celebrate. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Where's my walk-on song? Can y'all hum a little something? Thank you, Bill, for hosting us here today, and thanks for all that you all do with Diversity Richmond and the community for so many years. So excited to be here with so many good, I won't say old friends, we'll just say good friends this morning, who've been fighting so long to get to this day. What a journey it's been. I remember being at Hampton Roads Pride meetings back in the day when we could fit in Robert and Klaus's living room or Sarah and Laurel's backyard. Do you remember? Still a great party, but nothing like the biggest and best block party in town it is today with thousands of people. And you all also might remember that the governor's first act in office, coming right off the podium from the inauguration ceremony, was to sign the executive order preventing discrimination and gave the pen to James. Do you remember? Well, we had high hopes then, but we knew we could not rest until those protections were enshrined into law. And you know, hope is never silent. Courage is contagious, and you all, I am so proud of each and every one of you who worked so long and hard for this and never, ever gave up. I'm lucky to get to see Senator Evan again twice in 24 hours. Where is he? There he is. We were just at the signing for our landmark early childhood legislation. And I think about our young people and the promise today. And to paraphrase Harvey Milk, all young people, regardless of race, origin, sexual orientation, or identity, deserve a safe and supportive environment in which to achieve their full potential, and we're one step closer to that today. So now my job and my honor is to introduce someone who believes in the incredible potential of every child. So to tell you more about that and what we're celebrating today, I would like to introduce to you the 73rd Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Ralph Northam.
Please be seated. Good morning.
Good morning.
Wow, it is good to be with friends. And I was commenting to Bill a little bit earlier. Bill, thank you for your hospitality here. But I can promise you, if it wasn't for COVID-19, there would be standing room only in this room and probably all around us, because that is what today means for not only the Commonwealth of Virginia, but for this country. To Pam, you are a tough act to follow, but I will do my best this morning. But I certainly want to thank you for all of your efforts on behalf of Virginia and your friendship and support of me. And to all of our friends that are here today and those that are watching from and listening from afar, thank you for your presence. This, as Pam said, is an exciting day for Virginia. It has been a team effort, and together, we have all come a long way. Earlier this year, at a reception hosted by Equality Virginia, I spoke about how we're getting closer to being the Virginia that we all want to be. We all want Virginia to be a diverse and inclusive state, one where everyone feels welcome, a Virginia whose doors are open and lights are on. It shouldn't matter where you're from, what color your skin is, how you worship, or who you choose to love. And it has taken years to get where Virginia is today, both collectively and individually. We all have had people and experiences that shaped our lives. Pam would agree that my upbringing on a farm in rural Virginia offered the potential to be somewhat narrow-minded. And over the span of being together for, I'll say it's okay, 35 years, she encouraged me to really to get to know other people and to, especially to listen to their stories. Listen to individuals that couldn't find housing, jobs, join the military, or marry the person that they loved just because of who they were. And so by listening, I have learned a lot. And the more I know, the more we know, the more we can do. So my advice today is that during a time when there is so much divisiveness, so much meanness and hatred and bigotry and discrimination, we all need to open our hearts and our minds, and we will come to the realization that we are all God's people, that we should treat and respect each other as we would want to be treated and respected. That's not too much to ask, and it will make the world a much better place, not only for all of us, but for future generations. So finally, thanks to the dedication of countless citizens, advocates, and legislators, Virginia is the first state in the South to enact comprehensive protections for the LGBTQ community against discrimination in employment, housing, and public accommodation. No longer will LGBTQ Virginians have to fear being fired, evicted, or denied service in public places because of who they are. There are many people that we have to thank for this progress. I want to thank the bill patrons, Senator Evans and Delegate Sickles. What heroes you are. Both of you have been true leaders and given so much to our Commonwealth. And I want to thank all the other legislators. A lot of you are here with us this morning for standing up, for advocating, for doing the right thing, for supporting equality, and for also voting for these pieces of legislation. Also, it is important to recognize that these things don't happen in a vacuum. Having served in the Senate as Lieutenant Governor and now Governor, I have seen what a difference constituents and advocates can make, not just in their communities, but throughout our entire Commonwealth. So to all of you that came to Richmond or called your legislators to support this bill, to all of you that helped write and shape this legislation, to all of you that advocated tirelessly to shape a more equal and equitable Virginia, on behalf of the Commonwealth, I say thank you. And to the Virginia Values Coalition and everyone who came together to support this law, you should be proud of your work. Thanks to your efforts, we are closer to being the Virginia that we all want to be. So now I want you to hear from some heroes, some people that have been part of this, that have gotten up every day to do the right thing, starting with our Attorney General, Mark Herring. I served with Mark back in the Senate. We have grown, as I say, together. And I want to tell you, he's a busy man right now. And I'm just glad, Mark, you can be with us this morning, because I know some other things are going on, but I know how important this is to you. But thank you so much for your steadfastness. Thank you for your leadership, and again, for making Virginia a better place. And then we're going to hear, thank you. Then we're going to hear from Senator Evans. He will be followed by Delegate Mark Sickles, and then we will hear from James Parrish and V. Lamnick, and then we will have folks gather up here and we will sign this monumental piece of legislation. So without further ado, please welcome our Attorney General, Mark Herring, to the podium.
Well, thank you very much, Governor, for the warm welcome and especially for your leadership. I am so glad to be here for this celebration. It's been a long time coming, and it's nice to be here with our legislators and other leaders in the community, James, V, and so many friends. Bill, thank you so much for hosting us. It's really nice to be back in the Diversity Center. Talking about working, building on the work that others have done before you, I started doing that from the first day I became Attorney General. And the first thing I did was starting to undo some of the wrong-headed decisions and actions of my predecessor, like telling universities, this was what I did, not what he did, but to tell colleges and universities, yes, you can give LGBT teachers, administrators, and students protections. And that then we walked into court and fought for marriage equality, and we won. And we told K-12 schools around the state, yes, you can protect students and teachers and administrators from discrimination. And we continue to fight for protections for the LGBTQ community from hate crimes, and now we have protections there. And we continue to fight for protections against discrimination in housing and employment and public accommodations, and now we've got them. And I'm so glad that Virginia is leading the way in this, at least in the state, or in the South. And I don't want to, and I guess I also want to say how proud my team and I are, because we have the additional both responsibility and opportunity to make sure that these laws are enforced. And that falls to my team and I to make sure we do that. And I will make sure, as long as I'm Attorney General, you can count on me to make sure that the laws are enforced the way they're intended to. And while we celebrate, we also have to remember that those forces that have been fighting against us, not all of them have gone away or changed their minds. And so there's already a lawsuit filed to challenge this important and historic legislation. And again, you can always count on me as Attorney General to make sure that we throw all of our legal resources and talent to make sure that these important laws are enforced and that they are upheld when they're challenged. And so, I'm just really glad to be here again to celebrate this. No Virginian should live with the fear or the pain of discrimination because of where they come from, what they look like, or whom they love. And that's a Virginia value, and one that I've been fighting alongside all of you for years. And I'm just so proud that these protections, comprehensive protections, are now in place here in Virginia as of today. So thank you all so much for your hard work and your advocacy.
Good morning. Thank you to Bill Harrison and Diversity Richmond for hosting this. I like your logo up here. Everything looks kind of chic since last time I was here. And I want to thank the Attorney General for your commitment to defend the law and for your hard work. Your office was involved in the development of the bill with the Virginia Values Coalition to make sure that it was a defensible law. I want to thank the Governor and Madam First Lady for making sure that we did have a signing in the midst of a pandemic. I am Senator Adam Ebbin. In 2003, I had the distinction of being the first openly gay member of the General Assembly. And a few years later, there was an African-American member of the General Assembly who was retiring to become a judge. And I said, you know, it seems like you've gotten so much done over your career here just in the last few years since I started. And I feel like I've gotten nothing done for LGBT people. And he said, well, you know, before you got here, some people didn't even know that they had known a gay person. And it just seemed very frustrating. And if you had told me then that we'd be where we are today, I don't know, I wasn't even imagining that far. We were really on defense. But I do want to also single out a few other people. We now have a 5-member caucus of gay people, gay members of the General Assembly, with 4 delegates. Delegate Sickles, of course, of Fairfax, Delegate Mark Levine, who's here, of Alexandria, Delegate Danica Rome, who I don't think is here today, of Prince William, and Delegate Dawn Adams of Richmond. And Delegate Sickles did expertly shepherded this bill through the House. You'll hear from him in a minute. But I also wanted to single out my co-chief patrons in the Senate. Senator Jen McClellan had been handling the housing part of the bill. She deserves a round of applause for that. And Senator Jennifer Boysko has brought a lot of passion to this as well, my other co-chief patrons. So please give her a round of applause. And I'm certainly grateful to the entire Virginia Values Coalition. You'll hear from James and he'll enumerate them in a bit, as well as our business partners and supportive faith communities that we couldn't have done this without. But today we're really here to celebrate. We're celebrating the most expansive piece of civil rights legislation in Virginia's history, which is just hard to believe. We're covering hiring, housing, credit, public accommodations, not just for LGBT people, but it also outlaws discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, pregnancy, disability, and status as a veteran. I mean, most notably LGBT people, because some of those other categories were covered in part kind of under some of those areas. But we had no public accommodation statute. We were one of only 5 states in the entire country without one. Notably, those states were formerly segregated states, but now Virginia can celebrate one. And it's notable today that in the former capital of the Confederacy, in the birthplace of massive resistance, we're enacting the most comprehensive non-discrimination law, one of the most comprehensive non-discrimination laws in the nation. So it's really when I first came to Richmond in the 1990s, I don't think there was a diversity, there was no diversity Richmond. That was one called Diversity Thrift. I see we're rebranded. But I came as an advocate to the Capitol. And those legislators and staff were even willing to speak with us. We're surprised that anyone was advocating for LGBT people in Virginia at all. And for so many years, we're on the defensive. Mark and I can remember we were dealing with just anti-LGBT bills. In the same year, we even had to deal with the bills against gay marriage, against adoption by gay people, against gay-straight alliances, even a bill to provide for a traditional marriage license plate. All those in one year. And that was the kind of environment we're in. And today we've seen a sea change due to the people of Virginia. So I thank them for that. For years, and I'll never forget this, Mr. Attorney General, you called me on February 14th one year to tell me that we could have gay marriage in Virginia was ruled within the law by the federal courts. And even at that point, after gay people could get married in Virginia, they could get married on a Sunday, but they could be fired on a Monday, evicted on a Tuesday, and denied a hotel room the next night. But make no mistakes, millions of Americans continue to suffer that kind of psychological, physical, and economic vandalism simply because of whom they are or whom they love. But here in the Commonwealth, we're taking a stand. The Virginia Values Act will not erase all discrimination, but it will arm Virginians with an effective tool to fight back against bigotry. And with your signature, Governor, today we'll deliver on the promise of Stonewall. So thank you for that. Next, we've got Delegate Mark Sipples, who used his legislative expertise to shepherd this through the House.
That was a great walk down memory lane. Yeah, Adam. It was some crazy times back when we first got elected. One thing that happened this year among the, 6 or 8 LGBT bills that passed was Delegate Nancy Guy had a bill to repeal HB 751. I still remember the number of the bill because we put into the Virginia Code, I think for the 3rd or 4th time, that you couldn't get married to someone of the same sex in my first year. And Mark Warner was governor. He thought that he had 14 votes is all it takes in the Senate to sustain a veto, but he lost one. And he told me it was the greatest disappointment of his 4-year term. So on the day that we, sorry about being a little emotional here. On the day that we repealed it, I texted him and said, congratulations, remember that bill that you told me one time was your worst disappointment? We just repealed that. There's a good... I read up on it recently on an RVA gay webpage. I was wondering, I Googled HB 751 to see what would come up, and it came up on a gay RVA webpage. I don't know if it's still there or it's been updated like Wikipedia, so people know it's gone now. But anyway, change in society and political change go hand in hand. And, sometimes political courage is defined as folks that are running for office that can recognize societal change and then turn that into action. And so one thing that I remember the most after being involved in Democratic politics for my entire adult life was in 2013 when our ticket, Terry McAuliffe, Ralph Northam, and Justin Fairfax, equality was a part of the stump speech that they made in every corner of Virginia. It was not a speech they made to us, to targeted audiences. It was to everybody in their stump speech. And they won election. So that's how we can take what's going on in society and make it real in people's lives at the ballot box. I think Governor McAuliffe thinks that we did this during his term, but I'm going to have to remind him sometimes that this came now. Because how many times that we heard him tell people that the North Carolina bathroom bill would never happen in Virginia. And that's what it took to get Company X to move, 1,000 jobs to Virginia. So we heard that a few times. But also down memory lane was Adam. I don't know how many years we'd known each other at this point, but we went to the annual George Rawlings Christmas party, which was quite an affair. George was a gay member of the General Assembly. There have been people before us that just maybe people didn't know about. George is a historic figure in Virginia politics since he beat Howard Smith in a primary. And Howard Smith was preventing integration and stopping the civil rights bills, and he was a Virginian. George beat him in a primary. Unfortunately, George lost the general election after that. But George was a little flamboyant, had these big parties at his house, and Adam and I went, and the great liberal senator, Joe Garland, was there. You know, Joe lived in George's neighborhood down on Mason Neck. And Adam immediately almost tackled Joe Garland and said, "Hey, you know, we need gay rights in Virginia. We need employment protection." And Joe was like, "Well, Adam, calm down, man. He's never heard this before. You got to calm down a little bit. We have to take a little time, get to know Joe before you put the hard press on him." So Adam was a great leader for us in Northern Virginia and then at the state level from the very beginning, as far as I know. So he really deserves. Let's give him a hand for being. He really deserves a lot more credit than I do for any of this, and I was glad to carry the bill in the House, and it was fun to do. We had so much legislation, so many good things happened this year. It was almost a routine vote, and because everything was going on, that so much pent-up demand for progressive legislation that the public supports. I mean, this is a widely supported bill. We're not going out on a limb here with the public to do this. This is what they expect us to do. So congratulate yourself. It's the end of a long process. And I wish of course, Adam got 9 Republican senators to vote for this bill in the Senate. We didn't have quite that much luck in the House. We even lost some as his bill, my bill, we're going through. It shouldn't be a partisan thing at all, but just in the last months, the Republican Party of Virginia would not give their own congressman a primary so he could defend himself in a primary, and set up this arcane convention system, which our party used to use a lot. We don't do it anymore. I hope we don't do it anymore. And rein him out of office for giving people their constitutional right. So that's where we are in Virginia, deep cultural divide, but we're on the winning side. Most Virginians, most Americans support us. I think they're proud of what we do. So give yourself a round of applause, and I look forward to hearing from V and from James, our hero. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is V. Lamnick, and I am the Executive Director of Equality Virginia. Like everyone here this morning, I am so grateful for the collective advocacy that brought us to this moment. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Attorney General Herring, Senator Evan, Delegate Sickles, First Lady Northbound, hello. The incredible other legislators that are here that time and again have supported pro-equality pieces of legislation. Thank you to the advocates at home who are not able to be here today. This victory is because of you. I'm so proud and grateful that several of our very vocal advocates are here today. I'm very grateful for Caitlin and Michelle, for Aurora, and for Zakia. Thank you so much for all of your tireless advocacy. We could not have done this without you, and we would not be here without the leadership of our community. So I thank you all for being here. Equality Virginia has been around for over 30 years. And I am so glad that we did not have to wait another 30 years for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer Virginians to feel safe in the state that we call home. What makes the Virginia Values Act even more powerful than the fact that it protects LGBTQ people from discrimination is the fact that it also protects women, people with disabilities, veterans, and people of color from discrimination as well. At a time when the call for racial justice is ringing loud in our state and in our country, it is incredibly significant that this law is so comprehensive, that a Black, queer woman who served her country and is living with a disability can look at the Virginia Values Act and know that she matters. We all can feel proud of the fact that because of the Virginia Values Act, we are one step closer to building a Commonwealth where all LGBTQ people can thrive. Thank you.
I obviously have not worn a mask and glasses at the same time. Thank you, and those words that Bea just shared are very meaningful to me and to all of our LGBTQ community, for sure. What a day, not the place. I understand that we thought we'd be celebrating this great victory for our community and all the hard work that people put into it, but let's celebrate nonetheless. Governor Northam, thank you for having us here today. I know that not only that you and the First Lady have welcomed the LGBT community to the mansion, but for years you've opened your home to the greater thriving LGBTQ community in Hampton Roads. So thank you. Bill, thank you for opening the Diversity Center today and your team for pulling this together very quickly, and also thank you for your kind words. And Connor Andrews, thank you and your team for organizing the signing event. I really appreciated working with you. I'm going to do a litany of thank yous. It's going to be like an Oscar speech, and I'm going to go fast. And thank God there's not a chorus orchestra to get me off the stage. But we've heard time and time again today how amazing this bill is, the impact, the wonderful impact it will have on our community. And as I said, I think that Bea just so eloquently put the period on. But today's celebration is built on the work of a generation of Virginians sharing their stories, changing hearts and minds, organizing communities, and of course, voting. I'm excited to be here. And again, as we've mentioned, we thought we'd have a celebration to end all celebrations, but I'm very excited to see some of the familiar faces that Bea just mentioned and others who really helped me and Equality Virginia and our community get this over the finish line. It was a great year, but it was 10 years, 20 years in the making. In November, the Virginia Values Coalition was created with the sole purpose of passing the Virginia Values Act. More than 50 national, state, and community organizations, as well as thousands of Virginians, joined the coalition, whose efforts were led by steering committee organizations that I really want to note today: Equality Virginia, Freedom for All Americans, the Human Rights Campaign, and the National Center for Transgender Equality. To all of the coalition members and to all of the team members of those four organizations who've been hundreds of hours, thank you, congratulations, job well done. Senator Eben and Delegate Sickles, thank you for working with the coalition and sponsoring the Virginia Values Act. And of course, we appreciate the support from your teams, especially Alana, Chris, and Henry. Thank you to our chief co-patrons here today, already noted Senator McClellan and Boysko, and also in the House, Delegate Levine. Attorney General Herring, from the moment, I even think before the moment you officially took office, you in your capacity have been a friend to the LGBTQ community, and I am delighted, because I know some of your team members, some here today, that are part of the Division of Human Rights. I am delighted and know that y'all will work hard to ensure these protections move from paper to practice. Today, all Virginians join the celebration. Like Bea mentioned, the Virginia Values Act for the first time creates comprehensive non-discrimination protections for not just the LGBT community, but for all of us. And I think these days when we've learned we can't depend on the protections we thought we had at the federal level, it is more important than ever to have these protections in our state. In closing, I know we're wrapping up. I have lived, I've got the sickles my 12 years of LGBTQ advocacy work that has taken me all around the Commonwealth, I have met college students looking to start careers in more affirmative states and cities outside of Virginia. I have met couples planning to move to Maryland or DC for more protections for their family. And I've spoken with corporate leaders who had employees that didn't want to transfer to Virginia locations. All of these people were looking to live, work, and play in a place where they could love and identify as who they are in an authentic way, and a place that was safer to do so than in Virginia. Because too many in our community understands what happens when you don't live that authentic life. It's suffocating, isolating, and it diminishes the potential that we have to offer ourselves, our loved ones, and our community. We know civil rights laws aren't the sole answer to fighting and ending discrimination, but they are a foundation, a marker of the community we want to be. And I hope that the Virginia Values Act shows everyone that the Commonwealth of Virginia is finally welcoming and open for all people, including LGBTQ people. Thank you very much.
Senate Bill 868. Congratulations.